Hi students, I wanted to talk with you this week about synthesizing information, which is very important when you're writing essays or composing anything. You need to look at different sources, obviously, and then come up with your own ideas. And that is basically what synthesizing is. Um, it's kind of, we've talked a lot about analysis and analyzing. Synthesizing is kind of the inverse of analyzing. And I'll show you what I mean by that. So synthesis is defined as coming up with a number of different parts of ideas to arrive at a new idea or a new theory. So you're combining all of these resources that you've gathered for your research paper or for your essay. And you're picking and choosing which ideas you want to write about, and you're combining all that information to come up with your own ideas. And I think that's the hardest part about learning how to write essays is coming up with your own ideas. It's not enough just to parrot back information that other scholars have come up with. You're in the academy now. You're part of, you're in college, so you're contributing your own ideas, your own research, and that's crucial. That's why you write essays to begin with, is to bring a new idea into the world. And this all depends on your ability to infer relationships among the sources that you choose. So those sources could be periodicals or essays or books. They could be fiction, nonfiction. It could be videos you've watched, personal interviews you've conducted yourself. Those are your sources, and what you need to do is combine all those sources to basically formulate a new perspective, something only you could bring to the table. So if you think about synthesizing in visual terms, think about reading one source and reading another source and then coming up with your own idea based on what you've read from those sources. If you synthesize colors, these are the three primary colors. So if you synthesize red and yellow, what do you come up with? Right? Orange. If you synthesize yellow and blue, you come up with what? Exactly. And if you synthesize blue and red, you come up with purple. So again, that's synthesizing. And then if we compare synthesis to analysis, you're breaking down something into separate ideas or separate parts. So here we have an apple pie, and we want to break that down. We want to analyze it. It's made up of flour and sugar and apples and butter, and we could write whole paragraphs about what the flour, how it contributes to this pie as a whole. Same thing with sugar and apples and butter. But if we're synthesizing, which is also something you need to do in essays, you're looking at the flour with the sugar, with the apples, and the butter. You're combining all those things to make the pie. So that's the difference between analysis and synthesis. Both are important when you're conducting your own research and writing essays. So make sure that you ask yourself, okay, what am I meant to do in this essay? Go back to the prompt, make sure you pay attention to the essay verb. Are you being asked to define, evaluate, analyze, compare, contrast, or persuade? It doesn't matter if you're asked to do any of those. You need to synthesize the other sources that you've looked at and that you've read about and come up with your own new perspective on this topic. And make sure that you're doing those things as well in the essay. You're trying to draw your own conclusions and generate new ideas based on what you've learned. Your job is to contribute something new to the conversation. So now we'll watch a quick video about synthesizing.
Welcome to Synthesizing What You Read, an instructional video on reading comprehension, brought to you by the Excelsior College Online Writing Lab. Synthesis is the process of combining two or more things to create something new. Synthesis occurs in nature all the time. For instance, hydrogen and oxygen combine to form water. Synthesis also happens when you read. Reading introduces you to new ideas. Synthesis occurs when you combine these ideas with your own or with ideas from other texts to produce new ideas. This process might involve comparing or contrasting ideas from different points of view to draw a conclusion or make a critical evaluation. For instance, imagine that you are researching a topic. You will come across a variety of sources with different information and points of view. An experienced reader will evaluate and compare this information and draw his or her own conclusions. This process leads to the synthesis of new ideas. It may help to compare synthesizing to analyzing. Whereas analyzing involves breaking down ideas into their parts, synthesizing involves combining ideas to form new ones. Also, it's important to note that synthesis is not the same as summarizing. Summarizing is about stating someone else's ideas in as few words as possible. On the other hand, synthesis is a critical and creative process in which you compare or combine the ideas you've read to form new ones. This process can involve summarizing ideas from other text in order to compare them and draw a conclusion, but the result is a new idea. Click here for more information on how to summarize. Let's practice synthesizing what you read. For this exercise, we'll read two passages with different points of view about bike lanes. First, we'll summarize the author's main ideas, and then we'll compare them and draw a conclusion. Let's get started. In the first passage, the author is in favor of bike lanes. The author states, "Bike lanes are an essential feature of modern urban life. Many urban residents have traded in their cars for bicycles. There are many benefits to bicycling. Bicycles don't get stuck in traffic, they don't run out of gas, and they don't break down often, and are cheap to repair when they do. They don't need insurance, they don't produce pollution, and they don't get parking tickets. Bicycles also offer an excellent way to add exercise to a busy schedule. Many cities across the nation have encouraged bicycling to cut down on traffic, accidents, and pollution. They've added bike lanes to downtown areas to provide safe and speedy throughways for bicyclists. The result is a win-win." We can summarize this argument by pulling out some key words: bike lanes, beneficial, urban, traffic, accidents, pollution, inexpensive, safety, and exercise. Putting it all together, we can summarize the author's argument with the following sentence: Placing bike lanes in urban areas is beneficial because bicycling cuts down on traffic, decreases accidents, lowers pollution, and offers an inexpensive, safe, and healthy way to travel. Now, let's look at the second passage. In this passage, the author is against bike lanes. The author states, "Bike lanes take away valuable space from already crowded inner city streets. Urban areas already suffer from traffic and pedestrian congestion. Such overcrowding is worsened by the introduction of fleets of reckless bicyclists. Many bicyclists ignore street signs, causing additional accidents with cars and people. Furthermore, parked bicycles clutter congested sidewalks, making many areas impassable. These problems far outweigh the benefits of bicycling. Those who don't want to drive can hop on a bus or subway and gain many of the benefits of bicycling without taking up valuable space on the roads." Some key words are bike lanes, bad, urban, space, crowding, accidents, congested sidewalks, buses, and subways. We can summarize the author's argument with the following statement: Placing bike lanes in urban areas is a bad idea because bicycles take up valuable space, create additional crowding, cause accidents, congest sidewalks, and can be replaced by better alternatives, such as buses and subways. Now, let's practice synthesizing by combining the two summaries and drawing a conclusion. In passage 1, the author argues that placing bike lanes in urban areas is beneficial because bicycling cuts down on traffic, decreases accidents, lowers pollution, and offers an inexpensive, safe, and healthy way to travel. On the other hand, in passage 2, the author contends that placing bike lanes in urban areas is a bad idea because bicycles take up valuable space, create additional crowding, cause accidents, congest sidewalks, and can be replaced by better alternatives, such as buses and subways. These opposing points of view demonstrate that while bike lanes encourage a healthy, safe, and low-cost way to travel in cities, they also cause problems that need to be addressed through better urban planning. The new statement synthesizes the two passages by combining and comparing the two summaries and then drawing a conclusion that raises a new idea about the need for better urban planning to support bicycling. I hope this video has helped you learn about the importance of synthesizing what you read and how to do it. Thanks for listening to this.
All right, so that was a quick video on synthesizing. Let me go back to my PowerPoint here. So there the author synthesized these two ideas, one for pro bike lanes, one against bike lanes. And they came up with their own new idea, which is this need for better urban planning. So again, that is synthesis. What I want you to do for just practice right now is combine two ideas that will be on the next page to form a new one. In other words, you're going to synthesize to form an argument. You're going to write one paragraph. You don't have to turn this in, but just for practice, I want you to decide if you think marijuana should or should not be legalized nationwide. And be sure to acknowledge the other side's, the merit of their argument in this. So if you will pause and look here, whoops. All right, so on the left here you see the pros for legalizing marijuana, and on the right are the cons for legalizing marijuana. So pause the video, take a look at these, synthesize these ideas to form your own argument or your own idea while being fair to both sides. All right, so hopefully you've arrived at your own conclusion and decided if you think marijuana should be legalized across the 50 United States by looking at the pros and the cons, and then forming your own idea about that. That is synthesis. Synthesizing doesn't always involve combining pro and con arguments, obviously. It's just a way of looking at all of your sources and coming up with making your argument more specific or making your topic more specific, depending on the type of essay you're writing. So if we're writing about puppy mills, which are these horrible places where breeders churn out puppies, they breed puppies to sell without regard to their health or living conditions or any of that stuff. It's strictly a for-profit venture. A general argument might be here on the left. Puppy mills are immoral because breeders don't care about the conditions in which their dogs are raised. Dogs in mills exist in cramped, filthy conditions. Mills should be outlawed. Okay, that's great, but it's not very specific, right? So what could we research? What could we look at here and research to make our argument more specific and to start synthesizing? Well, puppy mills are immoral, so why are they immoral? We need to ask ourselves why or how. We could look at, here on the right, I've added some ideas that you could actually research, such as you could look up the number of arrests or citations for puppy mill owners. You can see if those have done any good. You could research diseases caused by puppy mills for pets and humans. You could look and see if new laws have been passed, and if so, have those laws been effective? Again, so we're taking our information here and we're looking at specific things to try to synthesize our own argument out of this. So if we look at the number of arrests, we look at the diseases caused by these puppy mills, we look at laws that have been passed, and if those have been effective, we come up with a new idea. We synthesize that information and come up with this new idea that puppy mills should be outlawed for those reasons. So you might decide that puppy mills should not be outlawed. I don't know what kind of cruel, heartless sociopath you'd have to be to think that way, but these are your essays, these are your ideas. Again, the idea here is just to refine your research,